Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've got a decently sized haul, about the same size as last week, so let's get started. Kicking us off, we've got Rise of the Powers of 10, number 1. This is the companion miniseries to follow the House of X. Basically, it seems Marvel is wrapping up the Krakoa age the same way they started it, with two interconnected but separate 6-issue miniseries. Though it does seem that they will not be releasing in the same the same manner that House of X and Powers of 10 did. So it'll be six issues over the course of 6 months, or 12 issues over the course of 6 months, as opposed to 12 issues over the course of 12 weeks. So, it does appear that Orcus has won. So, the issue begins 410 years, the Tower of Nimrod the Lesser, the human machine monolith on Earth. It does seem that mutant kind is once again lost, as Nimrod and Omega Sentinel stand over the corpse of Emma Frost. But Omega Sentinel points out that, and Nimrod seems to think that victory is assured, and that soon the Dominion will come and basically the machines will meet their god. But Omega Sentinel says, "Hey, don't be so sure, okay? I mean, I was sent back to now to make sure that we succeed. So there's a chance that we could fail. Still a chance we could fail." At the remains of the Henry Geiger Memorial Detention Center, Mystique and Gambit are holding off, are doing what they are, operating their part of the plan, and Gambit reveals to Mystique he's discovered that he can basically charge up his entire body, but he does so to blast a way out. Before he sacrifices himself, however, Raven does tell him, however, that he was a good son-in-law despite everything, and that he made Rogue happy. But then Mystique sacrifices herself dealing with the Star Sentinels, and the remnants of the X-Men are at the Broken Sword, which is in orbit. Remnants of the X-Men consisting of the Professor, Sync, Iron Man, an AI imprint of a long-dead Tony Stark in his final suit, Shadow Tiger, what was left of Kate Pryde after consuming the Death Seed, Captain Krakoa, Kamala Khan, the last the last captain of the Krakoan Age, and Wolverine, Logan, the living X-Sanction. And so, Nimrod, Omega Sentinel, and Moira meet to get everything online, to get the world mind online to attract the Dominion. Stasis shows up, however. But saying that they don't have to treat him the way they did Fei Long. But he comes with good news. Another of the X teams are down, wiped out. Bad news is they died having breached certain files, including the personality imprint of Fei Long. who apparently died, who knew where he who must not be named was being kept, which means Phobos. Well, where is Phobos? Which Omega Sentinel gets security scans, and there our remaining X team arrives. Iron Man is trying to tries to handle the or disrupt the security scans, but is destroyed in the process. And so, Moira activates the World Mind. And Stasis returns to the vault. Stating that basically, if you can't beat them, join them, as if they can't beat them. Nimrod shows up on Phobos. Stasis reveals that he created his own world mind with the as the Dominion arrives. Stasis reveals that he has created his own world mind, explaining that he took what they brought back in the future and gave it to the supreme intelligence he constructed from humanity's greatest intellects. And the Vault, they've had a lot longer than 10 years to chew over the problem. So the AI are bringing their god here to beg to join it. So instead, Stasis will do the human thing and just kill it. Takes about 7 minutes to activate. And the sun goes out. And Nimrod realizes something's wrong. However, Sync has one last sync left in him, and syncs up with Apocalypse to take on Nimrod. This is what will end up killing it. Be what kills him. And he manages to basically smash Nimrod's face. Wolverine states at one point that Colossus would have loved this. The world is ending, and they risk everything on a fastball special. Through a phase shift portal. And he comes upon Sinister. Surprised that Sinister's alive, in fact. Though Sinister explains that they couldn't risk Sinister having a failsafe, and which Sinister has a smart decision, of course, because of course he had a failsafe. He's Mr. Sinister. He's nothing about his plans. And Wolverine says there is a failsafe as he kills Sinister. But Stasis basically briefly takes down the children of the Vault, and because they were just tools to him, and the idea being that he becomes a Dominion. But something goes wrong, something's wrong, and then he's run through by Rasputin. But the Dominion shows up, the Enigma Dominion. Nimrod is particularly mad. After all, it's not his god, or it's not his AI god, but Enigma states that he is once a mortal man, but now he's an AI, Enigma. He is their new god, shortly before destroying Omega Sentinel and Nimrod. Enigma explains that once he was Nathaniel Essex, he created 4 versions of himself to scour reality for ways to become a Dominion. The mutant, the post-human, the arcane, the alien. All roads would lead to Essex. The plan was helped by the industrious mutant clone, Sinister. Made an engine that used Moira McTaggart's gift to reset the timeline whenever he wished. Each of these attempts could happen, be consumed, and then reset. Watching, Enigma ensured that Sinister would never remember the timelines when he discovered his peers or their Dominion attempts. With Sinister's death, failsafe was activated. Enigma watched all this happen as it must, as he exists outside of time and space. He's Enigma, can't be prevented. As inevitable as the period at the end of the sentence. We are merely watching how he came to be. Watching how Enigma won. There's then a graphically battlefield of the rise of the powers of 10. Stasis timeline +1. So first we've got A, Moira McTaggart's gift. Activates when she's 13. Any later death of the original Moira destroys the universe and resets it to her birth. Then B is Moira's first 9 lives, which she attempts various tactics for survival and the future of mutant life. Each ended her death and the timeline ending. Then C comes the Moira engine, a series of Moira clones designed by Mr. Sinister to allow him to explore alternate timelines. We got D from the Stasis timeline. A Dominion was lured to Earth and wiped out with the aid of the Children of the Vault, who harvested by Enigma at +10. Timeline ends. Next is the Sinister timeline, +1000. Sacrifice the galaxy of mutant souls to ascend, harvested by Enigma, +1000. Timeline ends. Sins of Sinister. F is simply listed as the Orbis timeline, +15. Harvested by Enigma, +15. Timeline ends. Is all the information that's given. Is a large portion of it seems to be redacted. G, Enigma comes online. Mother Righteous. Mother Righteous desecrates the White Room in an attempt to ascend. Harvested by Enigma, completing it. H, Omega Sentinel's timeline. Phoenix-powered mutants purge all AI life. A trickster Dominion sends the consciousness of Omega Sentinel back to the present day, averting this timeline. Then we have outside of time and space, I, Enigma. Dominion formed by plans of the long-dead Nathaniel Essex, formed from the remains of 4 ascension attempts by his variations. J, the White Hot Room, home of the Phoenix, presently home of the last human mutants, mortally injured in Mother Righteous ascension attempt. And then there's No Place X, which is completely redacted. And where we're going next. Rasputin shows up to inform Xavier that she failed, with Sinister stating that they succeeded in stopping Stasis Ascension 9 times. That's better than what they achieved with the other Essex clones. They knew it was likely impossible to prevent the Ego Dominion from coming into existence, but they had to try, and now they must walk a harder path. Xavier then asks Cypher how the X-Men's attacks against Orchestra going. Apparently they're hitting primary targets. Sword stations deploying. AI will likely fight back and escalate. None of them realize what's really happening, and they're fighting for tomorrow. Whereas this group of X-Men are fighting for forever, and they can't screw up. Doug's feeling a bit salty. The stakes have gotten to him. Enigma's a ghost haunting the timeline, and it's just terrifying. But he's going to let the rest know the bad news and move the contingency plan. No Place X has a crew of 5. Professor X, who has recently emerged telekinetic skills. Cypher, graduate from Xavier's Academy, omnilinguist, allows him to allows Congress with the island of Krakoa. Recently, and something this happened recently with him is redacted. Capabilities include omnilinguist, able to communicate in any language, and again, and also a portion which is redacted. Rasputin 4, created to be a hero by Mr. Sinister in the Empire of the Red Diamond timeline. She was tricked into assisting him. With the aid of Mother Righteous, she was brought to the present to ensure he did not escape justice. Capabilities is a chimera with 5 gifts: phasing, telepathy, force fields, regeneration, and steel form. And armed with a soul sword. She is Mr. Sinister's finest creation. There are 2 completely redacted crew members, though. So we'll find out who they are eventually. But No Place X was Moira's No Place, transformed and improved by Krakoa itself under guidance from Cypher's gift. It is developed to exist outside time and space, as such impossible to be directly observed by an entity such as a Dominion. But back to the primary story. Rasputin asks what the contingency is. However, Xavier states that since Rasputin is their primary field agent, it's best that she doesn't know. Or at least that she only knows what she needs to know. She points out she's careful, only psychic comms went out there. She knows Enigma could be anywhere, and Xavier can't tell where one can't tell where it's watching. Though Xavier points out, what if it took her and peeled the truth from her? Her knowing the final plan is too big a risk. She says that, she won't proceed without knowing the plan. And she knows her blindly following someone leads you, and she's not going to do it again. Xavier states that while he was hoping to spare her the burden of knowing, it is more than a walk into the shadow, is an extinguishing of the light. Points to a place where they strike next, and Rasputin asks what happens then. Xavier states that the whole timeline falls apart and the Dominion ceases to be. It's cut off at the root. If they kill off Moira before her gift activates when she's 13, it all goes away. And Krakoa will never have been and never will be. And that is where the issue ends. Oh boy. To be fair, it's the kind of plan I wouldn't expect from Xavier. I'll just put it that way. But yeah. And now, so basically, the Krakoan era will have never happened. Fun times. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Wolverine number 41, kicking off the Sabretooth War. So Wolverine has joined with X-Force who are currently hiding out at the North Pole. Sabretooth recently basically started working with a bunch of his multiversal variants and made an army of, well, Sabretooths. So the issue begins with Wolverine seemingly stalking Sabretooth at Organization 5, which is now under Sabretooth's command. Sabretooth has just killed Cyclops and then attacks, basically stops Wolverine from attacking him, though it's actually a one of the variants of Sabretooth. Sabretooth Earth 33441 camo, the color you won't see coming. The other Sabretooths are really just kind of getting irritated with the fact that, you know, the Creed is basically running things himself. But they decide they're heading out, and it's time to get this party started. At the North Pole, Quentin inquired to take something on Krakoa. Tells Tom, but he figures that he'll go check it out. Tom tries to delay him by explaining that, you know, hey, you know, Logan's protected, but he's used part of it, you know. Basically, kind of, you know, sees him as being one of his own now. But the organization's on approach. They arrive at Krakoa and find it deserted, using personal cloaking devices to evade the Star Sentinels. And like I said, they find Krakoa completely deserted. Quire shows up, deals with the Sentinels, but is hit with a sonic scrambler. Sees Wolverine on the beach and goes to save him, but realizes it's not Wolverine just before he's seemingly killed by Camo. Back at Station 5, seems that 4 of the Sabretooth variants are chowing down on Quentin's corpse. Back at the North Pole, Akihiro and Logan have a father and son moment, and Logan's brought caribou for everyone to eat. He's going to make his rounds, and he reminds Dakin to stay frosty. He pops in on everyone. Apparently, it's Logan's birthday, though, and Sabretooth has a tradition of every year attacking Wolverine on his birthday. But while checking in with everyone, Sage does ask if he's if somebody has Logan worried. He says there's no reason. But Sabretooth shows up. The Sabretooths show up. They've got a device that seems to have that seems to briefly silently take out Tom and Sage. Logan goes to check in with Laura and Domino. Thanks her for basically stepping up when he left X-Force, and she saved a lot of asses. Apparently, she got him a birthday present, but he's already gone. Logan also tells Laura that if something happens to him, it's got to be her. It's got to be her who doesn't just take his place, but does better than he ever could. But Dakin and those with him on the outskirts of the camp are attacked by Sabretooth. Logan goes to check on them and finds the bodies having formed, or being pieces of the bodies being formed, 2 words: happy birthday. And that is where the issue ends. I'm glad that we're coming back to the whole Sabretooth goes after Wolverine on his birthday thing. Sabretooth being in the pit and then off-world has kind of taken that up, just dragged that back because, well, he wasn't there to do it. I think back during the when the Weapon X series was running, back during the X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold era. Creed even went after Old Man Logan on his birthday. And there was literally it's like a 2-issue arc where they just fight through the ship, and then stroke of midnight. So he was like, okay, all right, that was fun. Happy birthday, Runt. And that's that. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got The Sentry, number 2. So, where we left off with The Sentry. The Sentry's powers appear to be randomly appearing in various people. Among those being Mallory Gibbs, a disabled journalist from New York, and Ryan Tapper, a teenager from Ohio. There's also a DoorDash delivery named Samir, who's also a mutant, who Ryan killed. Misty Knight and Jessica Jones are investigating. There was a forest fire at the Tuscarora State Forest in Pennsylvania, so the two of them go to investigate. Footprints definitely show Samir was there. Forensics is doing a full sweep, but the big question is, why them? Meanwhile, Mallory has banished herself to the moon because with her cerebral palsy, she can't. She tends to have spasms and that actually led to the destruction of her apartment building. And well, she feels guilty over destroying the building because of the people living there were harmed. Ryan goes to visit her and suggests they work together, but she's like, "Yeah, no, I'm just gonna stay here." So Ryan flies back to Earth. Meanwhile, a street magician is doing his bit, saying he's going to catch a bullet in his teeth, but someone pops up and actually shoots him. However, he's fine, seemingly with the Sentry's power, but he goes after the guy that shot him. Catches up to him as Ryan shows up, and then seemingly kills both Marv and the man who shot him. At a boutique in Times Square, they're cleaning up from what's recently happened with the Sentry, or with the Sentry's powers, and lamenting things like first was cleaning up with King in Black, then Hobgoblin tossing pumpkin bombs during the gang war. Clerk Ops tries to stop some shoplifters, but she gets Sentry powers and causes a blackout in Manhattan. Then Ryan goes after her and seemingly takes her down. And the power comes back up. On the moon, Mallory decides that the power she got, she really should try and use it for good. In the Mediterranean, she sees a barge full of migrants during a storm, flying to dry land. But and she points out that she's kind of in over her head. Misty and Jessica are trying to find commonalities between all of those that are definitely that we've pointed out. Seems that Penn Station is they all go through Penn Station, but you know, that's kind of a flimsy. Now they got to figure out just how it all connects. Elsewhere, outside of Dallas, Texas, the Avengers are dealing with the UFOs who are supposed to be being transferred in an 18-wheeler. However, the Sentry shows up and promptly takes out the UFOs and states to the Avengers that he's here to help. And that is where the issue ends. And it's Ryan that shows up, now with an actual Sentry costume. This book's getting interesting. I'm curious to who the new Sentry is going to end up being. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got Thunderbolts, number 2. Where we left off, the Winter Soldier, with the aid of Widows Black and White, as well as Red Guardian, and Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, I think I got her name right, and her intelligence organization, OXE, killed the Red Skull. Of course, the Skull's got contingencies, kind of a, basically, Skull dies and a clone is activated as the Skull. So now but their plan is to basically prevent his his fortune from getting out. It's going to be delivered at the Hellfire Club. So Bucky and the Widows infiltrate the Hellfire Club. Everyone there is making clear that they're not fond of the Red Skull, and not really sad to see him die. The White King, Wilson Fisk, gives a speech that he wants to remind everyone that the Hellfire Club does not celebrate genocidal fascists, nor do they tolerate the use of National Socialist imagery. But we know toast to the madman of the Rhine. Tonight they celebrate the living. Turns out that the funds are being transferred by a man named Vost, the living vault. Got a pocket dimension in his ribcage. Only one rule: whatever goes in, only he can take out. Pretty big in Europe, and OXE's used them for some of their more exciting transfers. So, but Fisk basically also states that thievery and or murder doesn't frown upon within the Hellfire Club, and apparently he does so while looking directly at Bucky. So the team splits up. Natasha gives Bucky a pep talk, mainly because Fisk and Bucky have fought previously, back during Devil's Reign. Basically, Fisk was sleepwalking and beat Bucky. It was Bucky as lowest. But the Widows play their parts, with Natasha going full venoming out. Bucky catches up with Fisk and tells him that he's the one who killed the Skull, and whoever Fisk is holding the money for, whatever remnants of Skull's operation that are giving Fisk his 10%, he's going to bring double the pain down on Fisk and the little fetish party at the Hellfire Club. That's a promise. Fisk states that while Bucky killed Lucan, the Skull still lives. And also starts a bit of a fight. The plan goes to shit. And Natasha gets sucked into Vost. As she's pulled out of him, though, she leaves some explosives. But Vost realizes that she's done this, and, well, yeah. He then blows up with the Nazi gold, Val's a little pissed because she had plans for the gold, but there's a say. Apparently, there's a saying in Russia: "No one who wants Nazi gold should have Nazi gold." But basically, Val explains that Schmidt's already. Bucky says that Schmidt's already back on the board. They need to accelerate. He can't be given time to regroup. Val points out that OXC's been on a worldwide audit of Skull's red sites, but after the recent operation of the Hellfire Club, they've got them all starved for cash and on the run. Bad news, they won't, and she's only really seeing one vector of chatter that could be the new Skull, one last red site entirely hidden out of their control. In fact, the only way that she could detect it is in the negative space between points of known intel. In 48 hours, Nazi assets inside the U.S. government are going to strike the site off the map, presumably covering Skull's tracks as he re-enters the world and starting a dangerous war in the process. Of course, preventing that might be a problem, as the site is in Latveria. That is where the issue ends. Alright, I'm digging this book. I mean, yes, this is largely just, to put Thunderbolt, to do something with the Thunderbolts IP, with the coming Thunderbolts, the eventually coming Thunderbolts movie. But still, it's a fun book, so, I'll take it. Even if it is a cash grab on the tie-in with upcoming films. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.